Whenever Oya shows up, she is bringing in a shift. She is bringing in a change. And so if she is bringing up the seductive power of our vulnerabilities, then that means this is something that we need to shift into understanding, shift into utilizing. Okay, utilizing your vulnerabilities as a tool, as a method of seduction. All right. Now, I don't want you to limit your mind when you hear the word seduction. I don't want you to limit your thinking to thinking sexuality, because this is how we don't normally you hear the word seduction, you thinking, oh, somebody fucking, or somebody. What's good, divine feminines? How is everyone doing? There is a wasp or something that stings in the sanctuary right now. All right. Okay. I hope it finds its way out here. I have already asked the ancestors to usher it out the way it found its way in and everything. And I don't want to have to kill it, right? But I will. How's everybody doing? I hope y'all doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good, y'all. I'm happy to see everyone. Well, I can't see you, but I can see you in spirit. I know you're there, right? I know you're there, and I'm glad that you are able to see me. Okay, we're gonna have a little conversation today. As we always do, we're gonna talk about some good stuff. I welcome everybody to the sanctuary. I welcome everyone to Sacred Empowerments of the Divine Feminine, where all of you are welcome to be here. This is a safe space, okay, for us to just converse with each other, share and impart and encourage one another. All right, please don't hesitate to leave any comments as the message goes forward. You know, anytime something resonates with you, go ahead and shoot that purple heart in the comments. You ain't even got to wait till it's over. Just as soon as I say something, spirit say something through me that taps your little soul, go ahead and shoot that purple heart in the comments, and I got you. I know what's up. All right. But at any rate, you want to elaborate, you want to ask questions, you want to leave a comment, you want to expound, you want to share with not just myself, but with other people in the community. Okay. So that's what we do over here. This is a safe space specifically for divine feminine women, but divine feminine men are always welcome. All right. I'm having a wonderful day. I'm feeling good physically, feeling good in my spirit, feeling good in my mind and my heart, feeling very good in my creativity and birthing and purpose and destiny. And so likewise, I hope everyone who taps into this video is feeling well, okay? Feeling well in all of the various areas of your life, all right? We're going to get into a conversation that I had with my good sister, my good goddess sister. Now, this is my baby here. Now, last time we spoke about Medusa, the message before the last one. So if you did not watch that one, go check that one out. You'll see the goddess Medusa in the title. We're talking about sacred pleasure on that video. And so, you know, I was in the sanctuary last night and I was asking which goddess wanted to step forth and had something to say, as I usually do when I'm trying to receive, right? And so the goddess Oya, which is like I said, I work with Medusa, I work with many of the deity energies, the divine feminine energies, but Oya is my baby. I mean, Oya, look, let me tell you something. That's my baby, and I'm her baby, and we do what we gotta do. She keep me on the straight and narrow. You understand? So when she came through last night, I got excited. I was like, what? Yes, mama, speak. What do you want to say to me that I can share with the God sisters? What do you want to say? We're ready to listen to what you got to say. Because anytime Oya shows up, it's about to be some transfer of the nations going on. Some transformations. happening, some change. You understand? Change is good, even when it doesn't feel good. But one thing we can trust, and one thing we're learning right now in this second season of Sacred Empowerments of the Divine Feminine, we are learning about pleasure, and we are learning about the beauty in our divine pleasure as divine feminines, right? So we already know when Mama Oya come through, she gon' shift some things, but on the other side of that, right? On the other side of that, yeah, all smiles, right? All smiles, feeling good. So we go through our process when she shows up. We go through our process, we go through I kind of associate her with the Tower moment in the Tower card in the tarot deck. I associate her with a tower. So I kind of sat there last night and was just pulling on some energies and seeing what she wanted to say, and she brought up something, and I was kind of taken aback at first because I wasn't expecting it. But what she was talking about was understanding the seductive power of vulnerability. And I kind of like, okay. Okay. The seductiveness of embracing our vulnerabilities, and how seductive we become when we are safe in our vulnerabilities, when we feel safe in our vulnerabilities, right? And how seducing that can be. And so the first thing she had me doing, I want to kind of like go over this a little bit, because the first thing that hit my mind, I ain't gonna hold you, was, well, what is vulnerability? What is vulnerability? And secondly, what is seduction? And so, of course, I know the general context of the two words, but I Googled it. I did. So vulnerability, as it applies to the message that she was giving me, because vulnerability has several different definitions and can be applied in several different ways, but the one that applies here is about vulnerability in relationships. So the Mother Oya is coming through to talk to us about vulnerability in our relationships. Not just our relationships with other people, because they are an extension of the relationship we have with ourselves. Okay? So more importantly, the relationship we have with ourselves, and extending that out to the relationships we have with other people, right? Vulnerability in relationships means being honest and transparent about your feelings, thoughts, and experiences, including sharing personal stories, admitting mistakes, and expressing your fears. I said, okay, that's what I thought it was, right? I do want to take a moment, because I want to parallel. Let me see, did I print that off? No, I don't think but when I first Googled vulnerability, the first thing that came up was like areas of weaknesses, incapabilities and weaknesses. And I was like, I don't feel like that's what she's talking about when she's talking about vulnerability, right? So I Googled vulnerability in relationships, because with the other things that I was hearing her say, that felt more applicable. And so that's when I saw, okay, vulnerability in relationships is not necessarily talking about weaknesses. Okay, but she's going to show us that even with the definition of weakness, how what we deem to be our weaknesses are the gates to power, and the gates to seductiveness when used correctly. So seduction as a tool, because this is how I feel like it applied to what she was telling me. Seduction can be seen as a tool to get what you want from someone without directly asking, and can be used to gain influence in various areas of life. That's going to be very important, okay? That definition is going to be very important because the way she broke this down was like really good. So what we need to understand, like I said, is that whenever Oya shows up, she is bringing in a shift. She is bringing in a change. And so if she is bringing up the seductive power of our vulnerabilities, then that means this is something that we need to shift into understanding, shift into utilizing, okay? Utilizing your vulnerabilities as a tool, as a method of seduction. All right. Now, I don't want you to limit your mind when you hear the word seduction. I don't want you to limit your thinking to thinking sexuality, because this is how we talk. Normally, when you hear the word seduction, you thinking, oh, somebody fucking, or somebody want to, or somebody trying to get somebody to, or, is seduction. You seduced them, him, her, and we go into applying seduction in its sexual nature, or in its romantic nature, right? Or in its manipulative nature. We think about that too. We're not talking about that, okay? We're not talking about that today. This is not what she was sharing with me, right? So, looking at vulnerabilities as a weakness, and this is how I started out kind of channeling the message. I said, people will try to, and I've had this happen, and you may can attest to this. People will try to use the vulnerabilities that you have either exposed them to, or that they have discovered about you, and they will weaponize these vulnerabilities, right? Like, they will criticize or judge you or condemn you for the weaknesses that you have either revealed, maybe because you felt safe enough, maybe because you trusted them, that they could know that aspect of you, and you would feel safe, and you felt maybe loved and cared for. Maybe not. Maybe it was just a moment that you were no longer able to suppress a certain expression, and so they viewed that as a weakness or an area of your vulnerability, and it very well could have been, right? And so sometimes you run across people who will look at the areas where you express or they discover weaknesses, and they will then try to weaponize those weaknesses and vulnerabilities against you. And I think this is why so many of us walk around trying to hide and trying to disguise our weaknesses, our vulnerabilities, particularly as women, but probably even more so as men. But we're women and we're talking, so we need to know that as women we do this. We do this a lot more subtly, a lot less aggressively, a lot less cocky maybe than men, but we do this because when we hear the word vulnerability, the first thing we go to is weakness. And so when you feel your vulnerabilities, when you view your vulnerabilities as just weaknesses, then there's kind of like an innate need to guard, to protect, to defend those areas, to cover, to hide, and to disguise those areas, because those are the most triggering areas in your heart space, in your mental space. Those are those where you are weak mentally, where you are weak emotionally, creatively, just in your self-expression in any way that it applies. We hide those areas because the weakness that we have is triggering to us, because we've been conditioned to see them as just weaknesses, right? And so, with conditioning to see them as just weaknesses, I don't know if it's a natural thing or if this is something we've also just been taught. I think this is more the natural aspect of an animal, that when it is weak, it goes somewhere and it stays out of trouble. It stays out of the line of fire. It stays away from predators. It stays away. It hides because it's weak, right? And I think in our animalistic nature, we do the same. But we are of a more higher consciousness than, a lion, a tiger, or a bear, right? At least we like to think so. So we have this cognitive process that then sophisticates the way in which we can hide our vulnerabilities or our weaknesses, because we don't want it to be exposed to the wrong person. I'm pretty sure most of you who has had someone weaponize your weaknesses against you, and ain't shit fun about that. Not nothing, right? What they don't realize, though, and what you may not realize, is that you have learned or are learning to see your weaknesses as areas which can propel you into deeper intimacy with your truth, deeper intimacy with your power to overcome your weaknesses, and learning to see them as having the ability to go deeper in ways which you can get to experience and witness the mother's transformative love. When you start viewing your vulnerabilities as doors, as aspects of yourself that you can then utilize to go deeper into an intimate relationship with self and with the transformative love of the mother, it changes the whole perspective about your vulnerabilities. For me, when I started kind of like thinking about this last night, and I laid down and I went to bed on it, and I pondered on it. It was like I said to myself, when you view your vulnerabilities through that lens and not through the lens of fear or being triggered, or the lens of something negative or something to hide or something to guise, when you view your vulnerabilities as areas of your life, of your psyche, of your emotional body, of your spiritual body, of your creative essence, when you view those vulnerabilities as tools, as openings, as spaces, as dimensions in which you can now discover a deeper intimacy with the transformative power of the mother. And this is where Oya comes in, because she is, as many of the other divine feminine aspects are, but we're talking specifically about her, she is that transformative change. She is that storm. She is that tower moment. But after the tower moment, after what is no longer stable, after what has never been stable comes crumbling down, okay, again, we get the opportunity to rediscover how we can build something on it that's more stable, that is stronger, that is strengthened. We can build the exact same thing, but now through the tower moment, we learn where the cracks were in the foundation. Where was it not quite built right? When it falls, we learn how to build it stronger, more stronger. So when we look at our vulnerabilities, not through the way we deem vulnerability to be, whether it be by definition or by energy, the energetic meaning of vulnerability, because all words carry energy. And most of the words carry energy predicated upon what we have been taught they mean. But most words have multiple meanings, but we take the one that we've been exposed to the most. So we hear the word vulnerability and we associate that with weakness. And the second you let your mind associate your vulnerabilities with weakness, the mind is then going to therefore like create all of these ways in which you can kind of let me just tack that up right there so that don't look, let me just not let me take it and look at it and inspect it and analyze it, and so I ain't got to hide it. Like I don't got to hide this. Like I'm building. If it's not right, it's not right. I'm a builder. If it's not right, it's not right. But when we hear weakness, we just want to take a little, get a little gorilla glue and just, that'll hold it, tape it up right there, and it'll be fine. And this is what we do with our personalities. This is what we do with our spirits. This is what we do with who we are as an essence of a person. Like we will just tape up little things, because we gonna just cover that little. You're gonna put a mask on over it. We're gonna disguise it to make it look like it's something else when it's really something else. This is what the mind will do when you allow yourself to accept vulnerabilities as just weakness. But we're divine feminines, so we analyze and investigate the nature of this thing, right? So when we learn to see our vulnerabilities as opportunities to gain a deeper intimacy with ourselves first, right? With ourselves first. This is when the idea of vulnerability becomes something that you actually have no desire to hide and no desire to disguise. You lose all desire to like, because ultimately what happens is you start to see the beauty even in your imperfections. How is that possible? I've been talking a lot about the beauty of divine femininity, the beauty of divinity, right? And what all of that means and all of its characteristics and operations. So we're going to just stay there, because this is what we need to start learning and feeling, not just aesthetically on the outside beautiful. We don't, we got that. But, most of us walk around and we know who we are on the inside. We know the areas that, I don't really know. I might not need to let nobody see that, right? You know what I mean? Like, we know. If don't nobody know, you know. So we really got to, like, inner world start seeing our beauty. And it is this not the inner beauty. This is what I love about it. The inner beauty is not in the absence of imperfections. The imperfections are included in the inner beauty that you possess, right? Just like on the aesthetic on the outside, we all got a little something, you know what I mean? We all got a little something that we might feel like, okay, I need to do something about that, right? If you can, because sometimes you can't. But what I'm saying is, this is why we have all the plastic surgery and the BBLs and the this and the that and the woo. I mean, hey, people want to make a change to an imperfection they feel they have on the outside, right? And so I'm not even here to discuss that, whether that's necessary, whether that's needed. I guess that's subjective to the person. But what I'm talking about is the inside of you. The beauty is discovered when you take and embrace the fullness of who you are. not void of the imperfections or what others will deem to be imperfected, or what you may feel is a bit of, something you need to tweak about your personality, about your spirit, about your essence, about the, like, where you need to grow, where you need to heal, whatever it may be. The beauty of you on the inside is all inclusive. So there's really no need, and it does you a disservice to feel the need, whether it be because of someone's judgment, someone's criticism, someone's, condemnation, whatever. It does you a disservice to even consider for one moment that you need to hide your vulnerabilities and exude this false sense of inner perfection. Like, that's like, come on now. That doesn't really honor you as a divine. That doesn't. And when you start to really understand that, it's not even an option. And so when hiding your vulnerabilities, when hiding your imperfections becomes no longer an option, now your vulnerabilities become a tool. And this is what Oya wants to talk to us about. And I'm cheesing on the inside, which is why I couldn't hold it, right? I'm almost blushing because this is when your vulnerability becomes something you can utilize. This changes the game. This changes the game about how you navigate your inner spaces, and this changes the game about how you navigate yourself around other people.
Part two of this conversation, the seductiveness of our vulnerabilities, is going to be up very shortly. I believe you will see that the premiere is already set for later on today. So you definitely want to come back and tap into that. This has been a very, very good conversation, and there's more to come. I want to thank everyone for tapping in. You took the time to listen. I hope something was said to enlighten, empower, and strengthen you on your journey, Divine Feminists. I love you all. Please take a moment to subscribe if you have not. That would be great. Go ahead and join the tribe, okay? Go ahead and leave your comments. Let me know how the message resonated with you, in what way, how, what was said. All of your comments are welcome. Also, turn on your notification bell so you'll know when I'm back with another message, okay? And I love you all. I will see you all on the next episode. All right. Peace, family.